Hi everyone, this is Dr. Yvette Witten of Adonai Optimal Health and Wellness in Madison, Connecticut. And I thought I would just touch bases with you to just talk about an event that we have planned at a beautiful location in Madison, Connecticut. It's called Mercy by the Sea. Sorry, there's a bit of a glare here. And so that's going to be in at the weekend of September 27th through the 29th. And again, as I explained, it is going to be a celebration of life. And this event is open to anyone who has received a cancer diagnosis, or if you have a loved one who has recently received a cancer diagnosis, or if you are a caregiver of anyone who has a cancer diagnosis, all would be welcome to attend. And so it's going to be a wonderful day of, as I said, knowledge that you will be able to obtain if you are currently receiving conventional treatments or plan to, such as chemotherapy, radiation, or surgery. We definitely have some insights to share in terms of how you can prepare your body, in terms of fortifying your body, so that you will be able to have a more favorable outcome for either of those treatments. So there is no, either you can do alternative treatments, or, you can do conventional treatments. What we definitely encourage people with a cancer diagnosis to consider is more of an integrative approach, where you're combining all of the treatments that work synergistically to support your conventional treatment, and basically to prepare the body for these treatments, and to minimize or mitigate any toxicity or free radical stress that one might experience from the surgical procedure or from the chemotherapy. What I really want to emphasize here is that a lot of the therapies, whether it be conventional, integrative, or alternative, there seems to be a focus on the physical aspect of the being. And I feel that far often than not, the psychosomatic, or the effects, the physical effects of the mind on the body is neglected or not really emphasized. And so at this event, we will be hearing from experts in their field. Dr. Bernie Siegel, he will be talking about, the psychosomatic component of the cancer diagnosis in the disease process and the initiation of cancer. And what I mean by psycho-emotional is how our beliefs, how our experiences have affected us, how it has basically been that energy of our experiences has been recorded on ourselves. And so when this occurs, and if it is not dealt with healthily, if we are not in tune with our emotions, and how we feel, our perception about our experiences, even during childhood, that all gets transcribed on a cellular level, and can often manifest in disease. And we see that connection a lot in cancer. So Dr. Bernie Siegel will be talking and lending his expertise, and he incorporates a lot of activities and analyzing drawings from patients, etc., as a means of connecting patients or individuals who have been diagnosed with cancer, connecting them to the emotional part of their disease. And then Dr. Grayson also, who's an expert in emotional freedom techniques, which is one of the techniques that can help those who have adverse childhood events as a major part of their disease process, feelings of unworthiness, unresolved conflict and grief, inescapable shock, where as a child, just giving a brief example, as a child, children depend on the adults in their environment to lend them that sense of safety, so to speak, where they can thrive and develop into healthy human beings. But a lot of times the dynamics of that family is not conducive to their psychological health, and because they are not able to really process those emotions, being a child, those often get buried and become a part of the subconscious. And again, over time, and with other factors involved, we see the emergence of chronic diseases and cancer in the adult individual who has had adverse events occur in their lives when they were children. So all these factors will be addressed. We will talk about dietary approaches as part of a protocol for a patient or for an individual with a cancer diagnosis, because food is extremely powerful. And it's not just what we eat that's important, but it's what we absorb that's important, because a lot of times the nutrients that are contained in food is not being absorbed by the cells for numerous reasons because of gut health. A lot of people have heard about the microbiome and how gut inflammation can interfere with one's ability to absorb the foods that we eat, so that the nutrients that the cells require, they tend to be low, or people tend to be depleted in certain nutrients because of the inability to adequately absorb the nutrients from the foods that they consume. And also the soil in which our foods grow, we know is depleted of many nutrients, right? Because of how the soil is treated. We're not really rotating crops the way crop rotation used to be a part of agriculture, and a lot of chemicals such as herbicides and pesticides are being used, and they are destroying the natural organisms in the soil that would lend to the richness of the soil. So even though many people think that they're eating a fairly healthy diet, it's not really. We need to reinforce the fact that often it's not what you're eating, but what you're absorbing. So gut health is important. And what we do here at Adonai Optimal Health and Wellness, we really do address gut health. And part of that is that we offer what's called colon hydrotherapy, in which filtered water is injected into the large intestine, and it is used to cleanse any debris or any remnants of fecal matter that has not been moved through. It is used to cleanse the body of toxins. So again, these are things that will be addressed. We'll talk about how incorporating even things that might seem rudimentary, but even using herbal teas as a part of our protocol for health restoration in chronic disease and cancer. The main detoxification organ of the body, and I won't say it's the largest because the skin happens to be the largest but the main organ of detoxification is the liver, and a lot of times the liver can become overwhelmed because these days we do have a tendency towards a huge toxic burden because of all the toxins that we're exposed to through the air, through water, through the food, from what we're applying topically to our skin in terms of cosmetics, washing our hair, etc. So we are exposed to a lot of toxins, and so the body, the liver then has to process that through the different or various phases of detoxification, being able to break down those components, and then the second phase to make those agents of detoxification water soluble so that they can be excreted through the kidneys and the liver, through the kidneys and the stool. So the liver does that, and then also, bile is where most of these toxins are stored in the bile, to then be excreted through the body. Some of the, the bile will lend coloring to the stool, and that's evidence that we're getting rid of some toxins through the stool. And then the straw-colored hue of the urine tells us that we're getting rid of some of the bile with the toxic material through those avenues, but a lot of that gets reabsorbed. So we really need to find a way to be able to consistently detoxify or reduce that toxic body burden. And a lot of what we will discuss there will be coffee enemas. Is it something that would be conducive to adding into your wellness protocol, so to speak? So we will be talking about how you can actually be able to use dried herbs or plant materials to infuse or to make an infusion that can be consumed as a tea, in terms of helping with a detoxification program. We'll also talk about juicing and the correct way to do that. Juicing is a means of flooding the body with a large amount of nutrients over a small amount of time. But in doing so, you will begin to liberate toxins from adipose tissue, which is fat tissue, because we tend to store toxins in fat. So as you begin to break down toxins and liberate those toxins, they will be released directly into the bloodstream. And so there needs to be a way to be able to mobilize these toxins out of the body in an expeditious way, so that these toxins do not accumulate, and the individual will then begin to have symptoms from this increased toxic burden. So juicing, there's a way or art of juicing to where it's supportive of health and not basically causing other health issues. So we'll talk about that. There will be, mind-body activities such as, just basically the technique of breathing. How often, we go through our day and, we think we're getting adequate oxygenation, but we're barely breathing, right? We're just getting enough to prevent us from passing out. But actually, really, breathing means that, when you inhale, if you were to put your hands on your diaphragm, when you inhale, you should actually feel, your stomach distend. And so in the art of breathing, the diaphragm needs to move down in order for the lungs to fill with air. And then when we exhale, the diaphragm would then move up to kind of expel the air from within the lungs. So being able to employ breathing techniques helps to oxygenate the body. It also helps a lot in stress management. So it helps us to be able to relax. And in doing so, we can lower our blood pressure, and some of those signs of disease that is caused from chronic stress, we're able to kind of manage those. We can lower cortisol levels which is a stress hormone, just by, conducting daily or frequent breathing and meditative activities. So we will talk more about that, and we will have some hands-on or interactive qigong activities and meditation. We're also going to be talking about journaling. Journaling is also an art. There's a way in which we can journal effectively, to where that whole process of writing things down becomes a therapy. It's therapeutic, and we can also utilize or tap into that in terms of stress management, to lower stress and to help with the, as I said before, the psychosomatic mind-body component of health or health recovery. Then, so, these are some of what we are going to kind of introduce during this retreat, and even the space itself provides a panoramic view of the ocean, and that in itself is healing. Even just being close to the ocean and being able to harness some of those negative ions, being able to ground and earth ourselves, right? And earthing is a whole other scientifically proven means of recovering health. So these are some of the things that we will be discussing at the retreat. Diet is huge, and people always want to know, well, what should I be eating to recover my health? And there are variations in terms of diet. The ketogenic diet is one that's quite popular now. Vegan diet, vegetarian diet. But we talk about ways that we can assess and actually test to see whether or not the ketogenic diet is a diet that's conducive for us. And there are ways that we can test that. We'll also discuss different tests that can be used to assess nutrient deficiencies, right? To kind of identify what specific nutrients you or one would be deficient in, and how that can be repleted, right? Because there is such a thing as too much of a good thing. So, you may not need, an abundance of B vitamins, but you may be deficient in vitamin A or zinc or selenium, right? And selenium is a vital part of, the detoxification process. Chromium, if you have issues with glucose metabolism and people are diabetic, it may be that a part of that disease process is that there is a deficiency in selenium. Chromium. There's a deficiency in chromium. So, because chromium is a vital part of the glucose metabolism. So again, these are some of the things that we will discuss in a very, very intimate setting. What is different about our retreat in comparison to many others? Like, I have attended many retreats and conferences to kind of expand upon the knowledge that I have and my skills as a practitioner who specializes in naturopathic oncology. The learning is continuous. And I don't think that will end as long as I'm here on earth. When I'm no longer here on earth, I believe that will be the time that the learning will end. But the learning is continuous. Things are constantly changing in the field of naturopathic oncology and evolving. And keeping up with those changes is vital. So these are the things that we will try to be able to, address in this retreat. And going back to my experience in conferences, a lot of times there's just a lot of information just thrown out. at you, and you're constantly trying to digest everything and take notes, etc. And then, you have one speaker every hour, there's somebody presenting something new, and it can be overwhelming. Like after a while, you honestly check out, because your brain is just basically had enough. It's information overload. And there's really not enough time to digest it. But in this intimate setting, there is an opportunity to absorb and digest the information that's given, to be able to answer questions, and to be able to test how much you've learned through actual hands-on activities. So I get, what I want to explain, and hopefully that's coming across, is that you will have the benefit of a limited amount of speakers in an intimate setting, where you will have the opportunity to ask your questions, to have them addressed, to obtain information as to how you can utilize the information practically, and incorporate that into your lifestyle, and how we can help you to tailor this information that you will receive, so that it can work for you and it will be beneficial. Hopefully I've given you just a little bit about what you will experience here at this retreat. I do encourage you to sign up. You may receive further information about the retreat by calling us here at Adonai Optimal Health and Wellness in Madison. And the number here is area code 888-655-8489. And again, we do want this to be a very intimate setting, so spaces are limited, and so I do encourage you to call us and sign up for this fantastic, life-changing event. That's going to help you to realize that a cancer diagnosis is not a death sentence. It does not have to be. I view it as a symptom. It's the body's way of saying that there is some disharmony here. And then that gives you the opportunity to begin looking, what in my life, what imbalances are there between all the aspects of me, right? You're more than your name, right? Who are you? I mean, as we begin to evolve through life, we're assigned all these different labels, right? We start moving further and further and further away from who we are, and we take on these labels, right? So I'm mom, I'm wife, I'm spouse, you're all these things. And the more labels you take on, you move further and further away from who you really are. You become disconnected, so to speak. So just restoring that connection of self, right? That discovering that self of purpose, right? That verve for life, that we came into this world, so full of energy and hope, and and along the way we and discovery, right? Discovering new things, and being fearless, and along the way we begin to be influenced, right, by different things, by our parents, by our our schools, our teachers, our environment, our spouses, our siblings, and and this all begins to change us and shape us, and moves us further away, right? We become disconnected from the heart of who we are, right? And so just restoring that connection, that discovering that purpose again, finding and identifying obstacles that are standing in the way of cure, right? Because our ability to cure comes naturally. You know, our doctor resides within us, right? At any given time. That's why if we go through major surgery, or you know, we're able to heal, right? Because that natural innate ability for healing resides within us. It's when different things begin to interfere with that natural process of healing that we get a disharmony in the body, disharmony of the mind, body, spirit, right? The soul. And that disharmony creates what is called disease, which, you know, you've heard from many practitioners, but that is just an imbalance, right? Between all the aspects of us. And so that is what actually manifests in illness. That's what dis-ease is, disease, right? So we welcome you. All are welcomed. Again, you know, we open this up to people with a cancer diagnosis, with their caregivers, with the people who love them. We open it up to everyone, right? And everybody's welcome to sign up to attend this 3-day retreat. It's not 3 full days, but we do have Friday afternoon, we have all day Saturday, and we have a partial day on Sunday. Meals will be provided. If you are on a special diet and you want to bring produce, we do have a refrigerator where we can store that, so that you will be able to do juicing. We'll have juicing demos, and if you want to make your own juices, you can do so and consume them there. So yeah, if you would like to receive further information about our event, I do encourage you to call us here at Adonai Optimal Health and Wellness for further information. And we look forward to connecting with you and celebrating life with you. Okay? Thank you. Abundant blessings.